During your earlier years of sync licensing, did you ever try to project ahead how much performance royalties you might earn? And did you ever find predictions to be accurate? I really got out of that habit. That's a really good question. I got out of that habit. For sure, I was tempted to do it, to think, well, I made, in the early years, I'd make like, I think at some point it was like, $500 on a royalty check. And I was like, ooh, maybe I can get up to 1,000 next time. And sometimes it would go to like $890. I was like, okay. And then I'd lower my expectations, but then the next one, it would be $1,500. It would jump up. And then, so for me trying to predict them, I usually was wrong. And I always found actually the more that I would try to expect more is usually when the royalty check would be less, and then I would get more disappointed. So actually what I did at some point is I kind of stopped paying attention so much to the number and just actually tried to focus more on the work. Which I know sounds very counterintuitive because obviously you have bills, you have to pay bills, that kind of thing. I was doing some side work as an independent freelance videographer. So I want you guys all to know that there was other income and other work that I was doing. But as these royalty checks came in, some of them would be really exciting. I feel really good about them. Some of them would be very disappointing and kind of like a gut punch. I felt like most of them were that gut punch style. Every time I got one of those, I had this sort of fork in the road. I've talked about this a few times, is that you get this feeling of like, all right, is it time to give up? When you get that really disappointing royalty check where you've been working your butt off and you think you're getting all these royalties and these placements and you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, and you get this kind of big dip in your royalties, it does make you question for sure your trajectory in this industry and if you should just sort of pack your bags and be done with it, right? Now, every time I had that, sometimes I'd make the choice fast. Other times it would take me a little while. I'd have to maybe take a day off and kind of like reflect on it a little bit. But every time you will have to make that choice of, okay, do I double down? Do I keep going? Or is that it? Is that my sign that this is just not for me? And I can't make that choice for you. You have your own financial obligations. You have your own, family obligations. You have your own career goals. You have your own, maybe side income or full-time job that you're working on. So nobody can make that decision other than you. For me, what helped me keep making the choice to double down, even if I had disappointing royalties, was that I was earning royalties and I was doing something that was showing me some results, right? As long as I kept on seeing some fruit of my labor, I thought this is working, okay? It might not be working at the pace I wanted to, and it might not be coming in as fast as I wanted to, but something is working here. The system is essentially working. So it taught me actually through all those years of doing that, what Pressor Variance really means. Pressor Variance really means doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on things that don't really feel always like they're worthwhile, and they're just not really paying off for you. They're not feeling really rewarding, but you still jump into it, okay? And looking back on all that, I'm so grateful that I did that, because it's taught me to persevere now in the things that I go through, right? In the sort of pushbacks or the difficult things that life throws me. I now have built up a track record of persevering, of being hit and being, gut punched over and over again, but still going, I'm strong, I can get through this, and I'm going to just jump right back into the fight, right? So it's really a character building thing. I mean, this industry will build character in you. Trust me, mark my words. It's a huge part of actually succeeding in this business. And you can take that skill with you into the future as long as you'd like to, obviously keep that with you for whatever endeavor you move forward into. So anyways, got off the topic a little bit, but no, projecting royalties and expecting things, I kind of have learned to practice to get away from that. In fact, I find the less I expect of the world, usually the more I get, and the more happy and the more satisfied I am, and the more grateful I am for everything I get. Even if it's a smaller royalty or a bigger royalty or anything, I just find that I get a little bit more grateful for things when I don't have those expectations there.